Hey guys, and welcome back to another edition of the Leadership Download. My name's Travis, and here back here with my friend Cameron Singh. And today we're bringing another leadership topic to you. Today we're going to talk about work life balance a little bit. Cameron, you want to introduce our subject for today?
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about work-life balance, and this is so important in leadership. I know, like Travis and I, in our leadership roles, and I'm sure those that are watching or listening, we've experienced times where we just don't have that work-life balance, and then we see that impact our personal lives and other spheres of areas that we may have influence in or leadership roles in, and we kind of lose our effectiveness in our roles. Sometimes, we don't have that work-life balance. We might see ourselves in our personal lives or even in the home where we start being disengaged and disconnected because we're so consumed with work or whatever might be consuming most of your time. And so to start off this kind of discussion is, I've kind of faced this myself several times where I don't find myself having that proper balance. And really, where it starts is I think it's setting boundaries. I think that's something very important as we talk about this. Is early on in I know for my leadership career, early on is I wasn't setting the proper boundaries. Is I was going in the office 6 a.m. and not leaving till 10 o'clock at night, and was feeling exhausted, lethargic, and sometimes it's counterproductive. You think you're working long hours, it means you're productive at work, but sometimes it's not. You're working on stuff that has really no meaning to it. And then you lose sight of your personal life, social life, spending time with family, those that are important to you, and you start really focusing more on work. And work is not always a priority. It's not how we should define ourselves. How we define ourselves, it should be us as who we are. Work is just a component of what we do, and it is important. That's how we make our money and things like that. But setting boundaries is important, and we're going to talk more about this later on in a different podcast. But one of the most important things is knowing how to delegate properly. So we'll dive into that in another podcast. But it's really important to have that healthy balance between personal and professional life. Travis?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I think about when we start talking about work life balance is this is something that often comes with a little bit of maturity. Early on, I can remember one of the first times I took on a management role, I felt like I owed it to, the people who gave me the opportunity to devote every ounce of energy I had to the job. And, there's nothing wrong with being committed to a job. There's nothing wrong with trying to do the best you can to provide a good product for work. But, I was willing to forfeit just about everything else in my life, including my family, friends, and everything else to do this. And what I come to realize is that, a lot of people who were encouraging me to just kind of grind it out and work hard, when I looked at their professional lives, man, they looked really good. But when I looked at their personal lives, man, it was a disaster in most cases.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do is I very quickly realized I wanted to be able to have a good career, but also be able to have a good personal life and be able to have a family and to be able to do both. And I believe you can do both
Yeah.
with intentionality.
Yeah, make a good point, Travis. I mean, I've encountered many successful leaders throughout my early career, and found the same is where their professional lives are amazing. They're senior executives of companies, they're CEOs, they've owned their own company, yet they've struggled personally.
Yeah.
Divorce. I've seen that several times, or they're not that connected with their families, marriage problems, kids are up to no good. And, just seeing that go on, it made me kind of realign myself is like those individuals, they let work define who they
Yeah.
were as a person, right? It was everything that they did. They lived and breathed their role, their job, their organization, and they always put their family or their personal life last. One thing we talked about this previously in a previous podcast, have to keep yourself in check. How are you doing
Yeah.
mentally, physically, spiritually? These things are so critical to take care not only of ourselves, but it helps us invest in our personal relationships, our significant others, our kids. And, if we lose sight of that, the work doesn't mean anything then. And, oftentimes people face burnout. I know I faced burnout several times, and that was because I encompassed myself fully into the day-to-day work. It was working
Yeah.
long hours. I lived and breathed work, and that's all I did, and that's all I knew. And eventually, you hit a roadblock, and you realize, hey, there's more to it than just a job. There's relationships that you have to hone in on. Like my siblings, my parents, my grandparents, other personal relationships. Having a simple social life, that's very, very important. And I think this is a very important conversation to have about work-life balance. We talk about it, and some people joke, "Oh, work-life balance, what's that?" But I think it's a very serious conversation that those are listening or watching out there is, how's your work-life balance, and what are you going to do to change and this is different for everyone.
Yeah.
Work-life balance doesn't have to be the same for everyone, but what are you going to do to change so that it's not all about work and your professional life, but you're also finding time not only for yourself, but for a real personal life where you actually get to enjoy life and where it's not all about work.
Yeah, I think that the important thing there is, and once again, this goes back to something that often plagues younger leaders, is that we focus so much on making work our identity. We focus on making the title that we have in the company that we work for our identity, and we lose perspective of all the other things that we are called to be in our lives. We're called to be brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers and
Right.
friends and all those things that are also important to the impact. And I think of it this way: there's very few people who get to the end of their life and at their funeral they're reflecting on how great of an employee they were. It was always about how great of a father they were, an uncle, an aunt, a family member, a friend. Those are the things that are reflected upon. So those are the things that at the end of our lives we will look back on, and it really won't matter if you were the vice president of a company or not. It would be the relationships you built, the intentionality you've had in those things.
That's so true. Yep. So, take some time to reflect is on how can you make this topic called work-life balance. What can you do to change today? What can you do to, invest more time into your personal life and have that balance? What do you need to keep that? What do you need to make that shift and have a proper balance with work and life? Because I think that's really important. And that way you'll have a healthier lifestyle. You'll be able to perform properly in the work environment, but also personally, you'll be able to also be effective in the house or with your significant other or your kids, or even when you're out having a social life, you're able to effectively be intentional with those relationships as well.
Absolutely. And I think, my kind of closing thought here would be that understand that this is not something you're always going to get correct.
Yeah.
Even if for me, I often fail to make this a priority. I think it's something that you can get better at, but ultimately I think you will always struggle with it at some point. If you are in a demanding field, if you are, leading at a high level, you're always going to have the challenges of having demands and everything's put on you. And we're going to discuss some things in some upcoming podcasts, I believe, that will help you as a manager and as a leader be able to figure out how we navigate those times. But understanding up front that you're not going to get it right every time, and that this is something that's a evolving process for us.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this pretty much concludes our discussion on work-life balance, and there'll be more content related to this. So we hope you tune in on future podcasts, and feel free to take a look at our previous episodes. We're both on Spotify and Apple, and check out our website as well. So hope this added value to your leadership, and we'll catch you on the next one.